Hello everyone, Oliver88 Reality here, and I am going to be giving you some news about our podcast, and that was just Skype really quickly. Guess the guys have been talking like crazy. Anyways, here's what's going to happen during the podcast. The podcast will be going like this. The first episode podcast is just me and the other two hosts that I have selected. The two hosts are DJ SJ and the Heartless 09. Thank you guys for auditioning. Good luck in the podcast. Anyway, the podcast will happen every Saturday. Remember that, every Saturday. No other time. I might move it due to some other reasons, but every Saturday will be the key day. Alright, so here's what might happen during the podcast. The podcast will be set up like this. The hosts, obviously, and then at times one or two special guests, if we can get some special guests to join us during that time. The podcast will be set up into different parts. The first part is going to be the introduction. Nothing all that special, might last a minute, two at the most. The second part is going to be it's going to be something that I like to call quick thoughts, which is going to be our thoughts on certain things, like, well, for example, that one thing that the guys have been saying the same thing about in the auditions. Third-gen commentators. We give our own quick thoughts on third-gen commentators. The next part is a question and answer sort of thing. Basically, you need to ask your subscribers to come to this video in order to help us out. Basically, what happens is that you give feedback, and if you like what you've seen, ask a question so that you might see the guy you subscribed to answer that question. It can be whatever sort of question you like. That's right, these questions have no limits. Well, except personal ones like are you a virgin, but even so, the questions have no limits. So it could be, for example, if you were to have sex with an animal, which animal would it be and why? I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for saying that one question. So yeah, the questions have no limits except for the personal kind. And yeah, the third one is going to be a little bit of a throwaway for fun. We basically share some experience with certain stuff, sort of like what happens in real life events. If you've seen Painkiller already, you might know what I'm talking about. If not, well, sit down and relax, you're going to be in for a long ride. Basically what happens is that, say for example, this. I was walking up inside the bar last night, ordering myself a drink, and all of a sudden this big guy comes up to the bar and says, "Hey pal, you want to dance?" And I said, "This is a bar, not a disco. We just go on a big rampage on some random experiences of what happens in our life." I know that wasn't funny, that was just an example. So yeah, that's what's going to happen. First the introduction, then a little bit of our quick thoughts, then a few questions from our subscribers, and then just a little bit of experience that happens during our lives. It could even be something to do with what happens when we make our videos as well. Just so we get a few laughs from you guys. And then we say our farewells. Now obviously the podcast is not going to start and end in the same way. It's going to finish in the same way. In fact, if these guys want, we can even start off with a new intro and a new outro. I probably might make the intro and outro since it's well, basically my podcast. But if you guys have an idea for an intro or an outro, don't be scared to send in some of your own ideas. Anyways, yeah, that's what's basically going to happen with the podcast, and I've forgotten what I was going to say now, damn it. So yeah, the podcast is going to be called it's going to be called The Helsing Generations. Yep, the podcast is called The Helsing Generations. So that's the name of the podcast, and those are the things of what's going to happen in the podcast, guys. I hope you might enjoy what you might going to see during the podcasts, and vote up some volunteering guests, and if you want to see them in the next episode, it might be in the next podcast. It might be wise if you ask them first before you get them to inform them about the podcast, or you get them to join. Shut up, Skype. And yeah. So that's all I need to say about the podcast, and I hope I'll see you guys on the other side when the first podcast starts. Remember, the first podcast is not going to have any special guests. It's just planning out what you might see. In other words, and experiment with all those things I just said. So until then, guys, see ya.